In studio, City Mugo, of course, and we also do have our last guest for this particular day, and that is none other than Charles Nyachae, a constitutional lawyer. But he's not just any kind of constitutional lawyer. He's actually been in the higher echelons of the justice system, if I may say. Karibu tena sana mheshimiwa to Radio Generation. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to make a maiden visit to Radio Generation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Karibu tena sana. And it's a pleasure. I've been following your story for a while, watching you on TV, doing a lot of things, doing your lawyer stuff. I followed up on your father as well, the late Simeon Nyachae.
Yes.
And like I said, it's actually a pleasure interacting with individuals such as yourself because we get to learn a lot, especially for the young generation. Mimi ni mtu niligrow na nimekuja kujua mambo mengi because of interacting with people like yourself. So once again, it's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
And like City pointed out, that tie, tukimaliza hii show, utaniambia mahali so that I can either I visit your tailor or I visit the person who makes your suits. But like I said, karibu tena sana.
Thank you very much.
You're an expert on matters constitution. Maybe we can start from there. Kenya promulgated a constitution in 2010. And we have seen a lot happening as far as that is concerned. Do you believe, as in your own personal opinion, that matters constitution, we are doing the right thing and we are where we were envisioned to be when we promulgated that constitution?
Okay, I think those are two. First of all, thank you very much. Let me say I'm glad to be here.
Yes.
And I appreciate the invitation. I always I enjoy talking about matters Katiba, so it's a pleasure for me.
Yeah.
Now, I think the question you have asked is actually two questions. Are we on the right track? And then secondly, are we where we would have expected or envisioned to be at this particular time? They're two different questions, but the answers are fairly similar. Are we on the right track? I think largely I would say yes. There's a lot of work that has been done since 2010 towards the implementation of the Constitution. As one might expect, if we are realistic, there's also been a lot of energy pulling in the other direction, but that was to be expected from day one. The people who were going to resist the implementation of what is essentially a very radical constitution. Some doing so consciously, but I think many not being conscious that they are pulling in the opposite direction. When you ask, are we where we had envisioned ourselves to be, my answer would be no. But then I would hasten to add that I think the better question, in my view, would be whether where we would have, if you had asked us, if we were having this conversation in 2010 or 2011.
Yes.
Or let's say we started beginning of 2011, 2011 or 2012. In terms of where, if you had asked me then, where do you think we will be in 2025?
Yes.
If I use that as the gauge, then I would say no, we are not where we envisaged to be. But then I would add very quickly,
yes,
with the benefit of hindsight, I think we were probably to a large extent overly ambitious in terms of what it was going to take to implement.
Really?
Yes.
Were we overly ambitious?
Yes, we were. We were overly ambitious. I think we did. There are things that we did not and could not have factored in. The level of resistance, and as I say, a lot of the resistance is coming from people and institutions who are probably not very conscious that they are resisting or pulling
in the opposite direction.
in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And it's only when you have a conscious discussion about it, like we are having now, that you look and say, yeah, I think because we didn't factor that in, that's why I say we were ambitious.
They always say there's the letter and there's a spirit.
Yes.
I don't know what they usually mean by that, but I'm assuming one is where you assume and then another one is where you actually perform. But we have seen, and City likes using this word, we bastardize this constitution a lot. We disregard it, sometimes we ignore it, sometimes it's like when it is convenient, we will apply it. But when it's not, then it is an inconvenience. Do you see that happening a lot?
Okay. I'm not sure who City means when he says we.
President Uhuru, in his first, when he was president during his term, if I look at what they did with Chapter 6, the changes that were made, it's just constitutional amendments. And then you come into with the Ruto government. It is the amendments to certain provisions of the Constitution that made me to use the word bastardization, because if it was intended to achieve a certain purpose, and the amendments which have been brought in more or less guarantee that whatever it was that was purposed for cannot be achieved, then that thing has been messed up with completely. That is my point.
Okay, it's interesting that that you mention Chapter 6 because it's actually one of the areas of the Constitution, one of the chapters where, from the very beginning, there are many chapters where, in writing the laws to implement the Constitution, I feel that we, and here I am talking about, I'm using we to mean those of us who are closely associated with writing and then passage of the laws that were required to implement the Constitution. There are many areas that I still feel that we wrote good laws to implement the Constitution. One of the areas, probably my best example of where we didn't from the onset, we didn't write a good law to give effect to what our understanding of the intention of the framers of the Constitution was Chapter 6. And I say this because when the process of putting in place the laws to implement the Constitution was that the Attorney General, together with the CIC, together with the relevant government department or agency, would sit down and discuss, look at the Constitution, draft it, and then once that was done, because each of these laws had to be passed in the then National Assembly. And the laws could only be passed could only go to the National Assembly,
right,
from the executive. I mean, nobody else. CIC could not take a law to Parliament,
okay,
or anybody else. That was done by the executive. Now, the particular law that CT talks about to implement Chapter 6, if I am to use his terminology, then it was bastardized from the very onset, because even as we finished our meetings with the executive, the cabinet subcommittee, who would then take it to the full cabinet, and then from there it would go to Parliament. it was clear to us that it had been so diluted
Yeah.
that we were not confident that we were effecting the intention of the framers of the Constitution.
Yeah.
Now, beyond there, of course, there are other laws which we did, but whose 15 years later, the reality of the implementation is still a long way from being a reality. And these are particularly laws that touch on or affect one way or another.
Yeah.
Primary stakeholders,
Yes.
especially Parliament.
Yeah.
If you look, for example, to date, we have not been able to bring into operation the law relating to election campaign financing, which I think we wrote a good law, but it has run into headwinds. Another one, which I often hear enthusiastic Kenyans talking about recalling their members of parliament.
Yes.
That one.
Unfortunately, I have sad news for them.
I can't. I am looking at that smile and I'm like,
That one, my all-time favorite. Yes.
I have sad news for them because we tried to write a good law to give effect, a balancing act, no doubt.
yes.
Because you do not want to have a situation where the people of Kenya have gone to a lot of trouble to elect a member of parliament and then make it overly easy
For them to recall him.
Now, but now, what has happened is the other extreme. It's really, apart from the fact that the law is in limbo, somehow large sections of it were struck out as being unconstitutional by the courts. Apart from that, it's I would say well nigh impossible today.
Now,
But before we get to even electing,
Yes.
okay, this MP,
Yeah.
there was that vetting process.
Yes.
And in the original text, you're talking about Article 74 of the Constitution, which laid down processes and procedures.
Yes.
The amendment I speak of, this was deleted.
Yes.
Okay? Now, the moment that was deleted, it became, again, near impossible for you to actually vet effectively. So, people who were to be elected could have all manner of things that previously would have halted them on their tracks, but now could easily sail through. Now, yes.
Yes, that is. I hear you. It is. A lot of it is perhaps yet to be tested, both in terms of who gets vetted so that they are allowed to participate in elections. And then, of course, there are other aspects of that whole electoral process, or what happens, for example, even today, as we speak, nobody can give you a clear-cut answer to the question of what happens in terms of holding public office, what happens to a person, a holder of state office who has been impeached, whether you're talking about governors, deputy governors,
MPs, senators.
Well, impeachment applies to
The president?
governors, the president, and deputy president.
Okay. I have a question, Mheshimiwa, and it's in regards to this whole issue of, you are the chairman of the Constitution of Kenya Implementation Commission.
Yes.
During your period in that particular position, what are probably you can tell us some of the challenges you faced as far as trying to ensure that this thing actually gets to where it's supposed to get?
Yes, the biggest challenge, and again, I think it was predictable, is that relative to the former constitution
Yes.
and relative to generally how we handle, we as a nation handle matters governance in the period before the 2010 constitution. That constitution, the 2010 one, relative to the former, was very radical and intended to be transformative. What that meant is that many people, and especially those in the governance system, were bound to have some level of resistance. And it really wasn't surprising because, first of all, human beings by nature tend to be resistant to any radical change. If today the government declared that from 1st of January 2026 we were going to drive on the right-hand side, I mean, every Kenyan would have an opinion about it, and they would say, you know, watu wanatusumbua.
And a lot of accidents, by the way.
Even before the accident, the announcement that this is what they're planning to do, you could have a revolution.
Yes. So the resistance to change was one of our major, shall I say, challenges. Although, let me say this, and I always say this whenever I talk in response to that question or similar question, that we started implementing this constitution during the time of the national coalition government. And I give a lot of credit to the two principals in that government for even the steps that we were able to take. Because people underneath them, the two principals, I will always go on record, were very supportive. They believed in the constitution and were very supportive of the process of implementation. There was a fair amount of resistance in the people below them, particularly, and this is just the reality, particularly the PNU side of the
coalition.
There was a fair amount of resistance. But to his credit, the president, who was also the leader of PNU, was very clear in supporting the implementation of the constitution.
Okay.
Why I'm saying that is that meant that a lot of times we were moving
swimming against the tide.
Swimming against the tide. So I found my life a lot easier when every time I crossed from one side of Arambe House to the other side. Then I felt that's a reality.
But what were they opposed to, really?
You know, it was. I'll tell you what they were opposed to. There were a number of things they were opposed to, but they can all be classified as you know, the system of government. Yeah, people had gotten used to, and these are the things that the Kenyan people were responding to when they wrote the new constitution. The imperial presidency, you know. So there were people who were very, they did not see how you could take powers away from
the presidency.
The presidency, because forever that's where the power
has always been.
Power has always been. Now, another category of very, very important players who, I'm still answering the question of the challenges.
Yes.
We did a lot of good work with the parliament. Both initially the National Assembly, then after the 2013 elections with the two, the now bicameral parliament. We did a lot of good work with them. Except the point of departure was always in areas that touched on them, or they felt something that was affecting them one way or the other.
Okay.
And I'll give you two examples, one of which is still ongoing as a challenge. You know, the 2010 Constitution, to a very large extent, was about responding to our experiences as a nation. So we put a lot of things in that document, which is, by the standards of most constitutions, is a fairly large document. So we wanted to respond to everything that we thought, we here is the people of Kenya, to everything that we thought that had gone wrong. We wanted to address it through that constitution. And for example, one thing that the constitution introduced is an independent constitutional commission called the Salaries and Remuneration Commission.
SRC.
SRC. The principal reason why that came into existence really was around members of parliament setting their own salaries. Kenyans were unhappy with this.
Yeah.
Now, when the commission came into effect and it sought to do its work, members of parliament reacted like they had not read that part of the constitution. They could not understand.
It was foreign to them.
It was foreign to them.
Yeah.
They couldn't understand who
can tell us what to be paid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that because it affected them, that sort of challenge. Another example of members of parliament is and I think it's a problem till today. And it caused me a lot of personal aggravation from members of parliament. Was this animal called CDF, which was at some point was rebaptized the NG-CDF.
Yes.
It is simply inconsistent with the architecture of the 2010 Constitution. And
Full stop.
That has been said by the courts. Whichever way they have tried it, it is just.
Please, actually, now that you're on that point, can you explain to CT why the NG-CDF stroke CDF is an illegality? Because I have tried to member hapa, and he's still insisting, even if it is illegal, ibaki tu paligo.
You know, he doesn't quite understand my objection to it.
Yes.
CDF, as we know it, or as we knew it, was initiated at a time before the 2010 Constitution.
Yes, true.
And if you look at what it is that it was able to do and achieve, it was phenomenal.
Absolutely. I am in agreement so far.
Now, when the Constitution came in with all its interfering ways, now, I did not see anything that was put in place that would replace the CDF.
That's where you go wrong.
That's my pain. No.
Okay.
I did not see.
Okay.
Now, part of your being here, because you have a legal mind,
is to help him understand,
and you are a barrister, is to now educate my not very educated mind on what the replacement was. Because until I see it, and I understand it, I will still say, illegality or not, Let the CDF
Let
continue.
let me say this, because this has been topical, and the current champion of that constitutional position is none other than Baba himself. And to me, every time I listen to Baba talking on
The media.
on the issue of CDF,
Yeah.
wherever I am, wherever I'm sitting with them, I tell them I could not have put that better myself. You see, City,
Yes, please.
the whole point of CDF, yeah, as you know, a number of years, this even right, I think from
From inception.
from the 80s, if not the 70s, this whole problem of how do you involve the Wanjiko at in the village, yeah? So that development reaches the lowest
Person.
Common denominator.
Yes.
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 Within a county
Yes.
or a ward.
Yes. And there had been attempts. Yeah, I remember when my late father was in Harambe House, they introduced this thing called what was it called?
What did it do?
It tried to address that problem. As
There was a time when there was something called district focus.
that's the one. District focus for rural development.
Yes.
That's what it was trying to do.
Yes.
That's what it was trying
I
to
understood district focus very well.
do. That's what now. District focus for rural development was a rudimentary
Devolution.
attempt. Huh?
It was a rudimentary attempt at devolution.
Yeah. Now, then in the 1990s, Honorable Karwe introduced in Parliament the whole thing about CDF,
Yes.
to address that same issue.
Yes.
Now here is where I agree with the former Prime Minister when he says CDF was good and it played its role at that time. Come 2010, and we have the introduction in Chapter 11 of the Constitution of a system of government called Devolution. Then two things we have to bear in mind. One, on paper at least, in terms of the Constitution, devolution addresses everything that
CDF was supposed to address.
CDF was supposed to address. The reason I have said on paper at least is obviously devolution has not, it has worked, but it hasn't achieved everything as yet that it was intended to achieve. So here again, and I mean, I'm not trying to hold a brief for Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, but why I agree with him, he is saying, look, once devolution came into our system, then we need to make it work, because if it works properly as it should work, then it addresses the issue of CDF, what CDF sought to do. Now, the other thing why CDF really is problematic for me as a student of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 is because there is a fundamental problem in the challenge to the architecture of the constitution when you have a system where members of parliament, whatever they call it, patrons of the CDF, or whatever, they are involved.
He insists on patron.
It doesn't matter what you call it, but they are involved
Yeah.
in
The operationalization of the CDF.
And then one of the three major mandates that they have as parliamentarians is oversight. So how are you going to oversight something that you have been involved in its operationalization? So there is a fundamental challenge to the architecture of the constitution. Now, beyond there, and if we get CDF to work, if we get devolution to work as was intended, I am completely unable to see why we should be spending our energies to defend a system which the courts have declared. Not only is it unconstitutional, but the courts have said as much that it really is an assault on the architecture of our constitution.
Now, you've been, you have a question to follow up on that?
I do, but go on. I'm not going to forget my questions.
You have been a judge, and you understand that court orders need to be followed, and there are usually consequences to court orders not being followed. But and help me understand, because I do not know matters of the law. Why is it that the courts have pronounced themselves on that issue, but nothing seems to be done?
No, what I wouldn't say nothing seems to be done. What happens every time the court pronounces itself? Of course, courts give reasoned judgments.
Okay.
So the members of parliament go and they go through the judgment, and they believe that if we change this, and change that, then we will be compliant. They have done it 3 times, but it is. You see, it cannot. CDF, the latest now that members of parliament seek to do, they have now seem to have given up trying to address it through acts of parliament, and they are talking about amending the constitution. But how you will do that while remaining faithful to the very what I'm calling the architecture of the constitution still remains a mystery to me. It is.
You see,
it is not. CDF is not consistent with the constitution. And even if you try to amend the constitution, you will run into the problem of it fitting into that architecture.
You can now ask that question.
How many chapters does the constitution have?
Sorry, is it?
Do not worry.
18.
All right. Let's say there are 86. Let me introduce an 87th chapter.
No, 18, I said.
Yes, this was me.
Oh, this is you.
This is me.
Okay.
Okay. Now, there's a reason why I argue the way I do. You have prefaced your argument well by saying that if the devolved units of government were to work as they were purposed, then indeed it would be clear that CDF is not necessary. Unfortunately, that is not the case. My argument, and he simply and willfully decided not to include that part of my argument, has been this. You are taking 100 million shillings and giving it to units who have proved time and time again that they are not able to manage the monies that they get to serve the interest that it was purposed for. That's number one. Number two, when you have a situation in the country where you've allowed impunity to reign to the point where you are using the fox to guard the hen house, okay? What do you expect? Parliament showed us from the very enactment of the 2010 Constitution that they were not going to adhere to the letter of that Constitution, because if it interfered with the way they were used to conducting business, they have the powers to amend it. It's a simple truth. That's why I'm talking about the Constitution here being the hen house and the foxes being asked to guard it. So the conflict existed even as we brought this to the fore. Now, CDF just brings this whole conflict to the fore, because the greatest contradiction, in my opinion, to the Constitution seems to be Parliament, because they're supposed to be to enact laws that would breathe life into this Constitution. How many years have we had this Constitution now?
15.
Why do we still talk about laws that haven't been enacted?
Okay, now that is something we could discuss for a long time, but in my view, the answer is this, City. The Constitution of Kenya. You know, normally most constitutions are brought about in a situation of from nothingness, like you have a war and everything is in rubble.
Extremely adverse situations.
Exactly.
Yes.
The significance of that is you then do not have interested parties. Everybody is starting from there,
and they are willing to start from scratch.
Yes. So the response of Parliament, which has been an ongoing challenge from the onset as regards implementation, is to be expected in a situation where Parliament is a major, other than the people. Parliament as representatives of the people are really the major players.
They are. They're the key players in this whole process. Yes.
And anything that they feel touches on them, they are going to resist any changes. But the other thing that you have alluded to,
yes,
devolution.
Yes.
Admittedly, you know, there's a lot that needs to be done in order to make the devolution deliver, both in terms of intergovernmental relations and the obligations of the national government, flow of funds and agreement on functions and so on. For me, and then of course there is the problem of corruption by whatever name. Now, the issue of corruption by whatever name, if we are talking about corruption, yeah, whether it is the county governments, yeah, it's there. Whether it is the CDF, how it is administered, it's the corruption is just a major issue we have as a nation. So I would want to see our energies directed more at making devolution work, yeah, and we get serious about attacking corruption in all its forms at whatever level. That to me is really what would benefit
the priority.
Yes.
How does the CDF, as it's currently constituted and it currently exists, interfere with the process of ensuring that the constitution, or rather the revolved governments work as they were intended to? How does it?
But it's illegal. It's
No.
It is just illegal.
Yes, it is.
Stealing a cow is illegal.
I don't think you heard my question, so let me ask it again. Yes, you are answering something else. Yes.
He's setting his own
illegal.
example.
Yes, setting his own exam, which he's going to pass anyway.
It's illegal. However you try and sugarcoat this issue, it is illegal. But anyway, ask.
You see, I am deliberately being facetious on this subject for a very simple reason.
Yes.
To bring out the false arguments that we have about devolution, not what was intended for it, but the false arguments about it, and the pronouncements that we hear from governors regarding that consistent plea for we don't have enough money, and yet they never clearly tell us what it is that they've done with what they've been given. And then when we throw in what the Auditor General now reports, we realize there's something about this devolved process that required a lot of changing. You have told me on many occasions that you are of the view that the 5 years the commission was given was adequate. I disagree with you completely. 5 years was too short a time. 5 years is when we are beginning to even understand we have a new constitution.
But you'll be happy to know that I now share your view.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, because 5 years.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Given who we are and how we respond to issues, and how when the threat that we had that made us go to the 10-10 constitution seems to have gone away, we go back to factory settings very, very, very quickly.
Are you saying that the lifespan of the commission was very short-lived?
It was too short. It was
2011 to 2016.
Every institution that was there, that was supposed to shepherd the implementation of the constitution, not just his commission, they were given too short a time to do their work. Again, Parliament. You see, the hen house and the fox analogy for me holds true, because the moment you have individuals who by virtue of their being in that position, before they get to Parliament they're okay, the moment they get in there, they are the personification of avarice.
That's harsh. But go on.
And we raise this question, we keep asking, how on earth did we get here? We elected them, that's how we got there. So now you have a CDF which they manage. So long as they manage it, we know what they're supposed to do with it, and we can monitor. When you take it to this monolith system that already has billions, this is just 100 million, and who have demonstrated irrevocably that they actually cannot manage those funds, either through incapacity to actually comprehend what they're supposed to do, or for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And you then now want to take this 100 million to give to that entity. That doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather this particular individual, whose nomenclature I understand fully.
So
I'd rather have that person.
Better the devil you know.
This devil I know very well.
Than the other devil that you also know.
And this, no. A county government is a huge, chief. It's a government.
Okay.
And the funds that they are given are huge, chief. So when you are told that there is a governor who's being accused of misappropriating 700 million, that's what they are able to document. It doesn't mean that that's all that they've misappropriated.
Charles, are you by any chance suggesting that the CDF system there's no corruption?
That CDF has been used to the point where you actually can't even begin to state the ways in which it has been misused. By the time those in power came to understand that there needs to be people who actually run it as opposed to the MPs, it's the same disease we have when it comes to our governors. There's a village mentality that somehow getting into politics bequeaths people. Somebody who is very sensible and very normal before they go into politics suddenly becomes a villager with the most vile intent in any way imaginable, and you wonder, is this person bewitched? You campaign so that you can lead and ensure that the people whom you are seeking to leave benefit. And then you proceed to do the complete opposite. CDF, if you argued that it gives these individuals a platform from which to ascend probably to that position of governor, then I would cede that my argument is completely spurious and should not even be entertained. But so long as I'm holding brief on the view that I am not going to take 100 million shillings to give to these people who have shown no interest and no ability to manage the money, let it stay with these people. And If the constitution doesn't agree with it, well, then let's say it doesn't agree with it.
I respect your view, but
No, you don't.
no, I do because you choose to focus on what is probably a limited aspect of it, and I'm looking at it from the wider issue.
The man has just told me I have a limited vision. Did you hear
No.
He has just said that you ignore other spectrum.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes. He has not called you limited.
Oh, he's called me limited. I've heard.
He's just saying that we may ignore his spectrum.
Yes, deliberately.
Yes. But yeah, Mahesh, you're actually saying something.
Which one now?
In terms of what then, in your view,
Yeah.
should we do to the CDF? Because clearly there are people who would actually argue that Ime's idea. So do we?
Here's what I would do with the CDF. As somebody who wants to be to maintain fidelity to the constitution, but B, who is pragmatic and recognizes the interests around it. What I would do is I would introduce a cutoff point. Doesn't matter whether it's whether it's 5 years. Whether it's one term or 2 terms. In terms of the when I say term, I'm using that in terms of the terms of parliament.
Okay.
So that the members of parliament it will greatly reduce the personal, because very few members of parliament go beyond 2 terms anyway.
Very few.
Yeah, it will greatly reduce the personal interest.
Yeah.
But so that at a given point, whether it's 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, we will have dealt with that now to accord with the constitution. And in the meantime, City,
Yes, please.
we will or should do what we can to identify and address honestly and openly the issues that have made devolution not work to the
extent that it could.
Yes.
When amending a constitution,
Yeah.
are there limits to which you cannot amend the constitution?
Very, very interesting philosophical question. My own view would be that the people of Kenya, in the exercise of their sovereignty, could actually scratch the whole thing and start from scratch. Which means then that, to answer your question, there is therefore nothing that the people acting directly cannot amend. That's my view.
But with the current system that we have, where we need to go to a referendum and all that, the question still holds. Are we in a position, or are there limits to which we cannot amend the constitution? Let me be specific to what I'm asking. The discussion I'm bringing is one of exceptions, given exception. You see, the role that elected leaders play is not difficult to understand. The quandary and the complication arises from them exercising those roles in a manner that they see fit, because it often runs contrary to what is anticipated or expected. Okay. Now, we have a constitution which essentially is a manual of operation. This is what is you're supposed to follow when you want to do A, B, C, D. Now, if you have a body of people who seem determined that the only way that thing works is when it suits their purposes, hence my question, the amendment of the constitution. You say if the sovereign decides to amend it or to scrap it or to change it. The sovereign still has to go through the elected leaders, given our current constitution and how it works.
Not really. You see, the role of Parliament is greatly reduced when you're dealing with a citizen-driven amendment to the Constitution in terms of the Constitution as is. I see your point that Parliament still has a role to play.
Yes.
And they can therefore make it somewhat.
They'll bulwark it completely.
They can, but you see, it depends on what is coming. You know, at the end of the day, parliamentarians may be thinking about themselves, but they are also very sensitive to what is really coming from the people.
Absolutely true. They're very finely tuned into that.
Yes. So if it is clear that this really is a deal breaker between them and the people, then I think in practice the people will be able to make whatever amendment they want to the Constitution, exercising their direct sovereignty. Short of that, then we would be talking about some kind of uprising, which is not the direction we want to go.
No, because then you have a situation which is difficult to control.
Yes.
And the worst is probably the scenario you should envision when such a thing happens.
Yes.
Yes.
So, gentlemen, we've actually come to the end of the show.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, we have literally seconds to go. But before
I was just warming up.
Before I let you go, Mheshimiwa,
Yes, sir.
You recently wanted to be chairman of IEBC, but now we have a new IEBC.
Yes.
What do you think could be the biggest problem as far as delivering a free and fair election in 2027 is concerned?
I think that I would answer that at two levels. I think that the commission, and this was always my view, even when I was offering myself, the commission has a difficult task ahead. And what makes it difficult is not so much the core mandate that the Constitution gives to them. What makes it difficult is that over a period of time, for a variety of reasons which we don't have time to discuss, there has developed a trust deficit between a section of the people, not all Kenyans, a section of the people of Kenya, and the commission.
Okay.
Personally, and this is gratuitous advice because nobody has asked me for it, but if I was to advise the commission, I would just advise them two things. One, to as I wish them well, is to carry out the mandate with complete fidelity to the Constitution and the law. In the process of doing that, bear in mind that there is this trust deficit. So I think communication is key.
Okay.
Communication is key. As long as they are able to communicate what they're doing and they are manifestly transparent, they cannot do more than just remain faithful to the Constitution and the law. But now that you asked me about the issue of IEBC and elections, let me say this.
Yes.
I think the people of Kenya, on this whole issue about elections, the people of Kenya need to introspect
Okay.
themselves about the electoral process. Because you and I know, all three of us here know, that there are people in Kenya today who have already decided that if X is the result in 2027, then it will have been rigged.
Okay.
I mean,
Yes.
the people who,
That is their position.
that is their position.
Okay.
We need to move away from that.
All right.
And have faith in the institutions, and it's all about the people of Kenya introspecting.
Yes.
And I say this because I'm an old-fashioned lawyer.
Yeah.
So you know, I believe in the processes.
Okay.
That's why we have a process for challenging the outcome of an election, and how that matter is settled.
Okay.
But all in all, you know, we must wish the commission the very best, because what option do we have? They are carrying that out on our behalf.
Thank you so much, Charles Nyachae. This is where we come to a close. We've actually overshot by about 4 minutes.
Ole.
But no, it's okay. Thank you so much. That's well-deserved, a well-deserved conversation. And indeed, we invite you here back to come and talk about this and much more.
Thank you.